Bankei was preaching at Ryomon Temple. A Shinshu priest who believed in salvation through the repetition of the name of the Buddha of Love was jealous of his large audience and wanted to debate with him. Bankei was in the midst of a talk when the priest appeared, but the fellow made such a disturbance that Bankei stopped his discourse and asked about the noise. The founder of our sect, boasted the priest, had such miraculous powers that he held a brush in his hand on one bank of the river. His attendant held up a paper on the other bank, and the teacher wrote the holy name of Amida through the air. Can you do such a wonderful thing? Bankei replied lightly. Perhaps your fox can perform that trick, but that is not the manner of Zen. My miracle is that when I feel hungry, I eat, and when I feel thirsty, I drink.
Any hotter, and we'd have to censor these sandwiches. Potbelly, we bring the hot.
Yamaoka Teshu, as a young student of Zen, visited one master after another. He called upon Dokuon of Shokoku. Desiring to show his attainment, he said, "The mind, Buddha, and sentient beings, after all, do not exist. The true nature of phenomena is emptiness. There is no realization, no delusion, no sage, no mediocrity. There is no giving and nothing to be received." Dokuon, who was smoking quietly, said nothing. Suddenly he whacked Yamaoka with his bamboo pipe. This made the youth quite angry. "If nothing exists," inquired Dokuon, "where did this anger come from?" Hyakujo, the Chinese Zen master, used to labor with his pupils even at the age of 80, trimming the gardens, cleaning the grounds, and pruning the trees. The pupils felt sorry to see the old teacher working so hard, but they knew he would not listen to their advice to stop, so they hid away his tools. That day the master did not eat. The next day he did not eat, nor the next. He may be angry because we have hidden his tools, the pupils surmised. We had better put them back. The day they did, the teacher worked and ate the same as before. In the evening, he instructed them. No work, no food. Ikkyu, the Zen master, was very clever even as a boy. His teacher had a precious teacup, a rare antique. Ikkyu happened to break this cup and was greatly perplexed. Hearing the footsteps of his teacher, he held the pieces of the cup behind him. When the master appeared, Ikkyu asked, "Why do people have to die?" "This is natural," explained the older man. "Everything has to die and has just so long to live." Ikkyu, producing the shattered cup, added, "It was time for your cup to die." A Zen master named Geitan lived in the latter part of the Tokugawa era. He used to say, "There are three kinds of disciples. Those who impart Zen to others, those who maintain the temples and shrines, and then there are the rice bags and the clothes hangers." Gasan expressed the same idea. When he was studying under Tekesui, his teacher was very severe. Sometimes he even beat him. Other pupils would not stand this kind of teaching and quit. Gasan remained, saying, "A poor disciple utilizes a teacher's influence. A fair disciple admires a teacher's kindness. A good disciple grows strong under a teacher's discipline." Zen teachers train their young pupils to express themselves. Two Zen temples each had a child protege. One child going to obtain vegetables each morning would meet the other on the way. "Where are you going?" asked the one. "I'm going wherever my feet go," the other responded. This reply puzzled the first child, who went to his teacher for help. "Tomorrow morning," the teacher told him, "when you meet that little fellow, ask him the same question. He'll give you the same answer, and then you ask him, 'Suppose you have no feet, then where are you going?' That'll fix him." The children met again the following morning. "Where are you going?" asked the first child. "I'm going wherever the wind blows," answered the other. This again nonplussed the youngster, who took his defeat to his teacher. "Ask him where he's going if there's no wind," suggested the teacher. The next day the children met a third time. "Where are you going?" asked the first child. "I'm going to market to buy vegetables," the other replied. Tangen had studied with Sengai since childhood. When he was 20, he wanted to leave his teacher and visit others for comparative study, but Sengai would not permit this. Every time Tangen suggested it, Sengai would give him a rap on the head. Finally, Tongen asked an elder brother to coax permission from Sengai. This the brother did, and then reported to Tongen. It is arranged. I have fixed it for you to start on your pilgrimage at once. Tongen went to Sengai to thank him for his permission. The master answered by giving him another rap. When Tongen related this to his elder brother, the other said, "What is the matter? Sengai has no business giving permission and then changing his mind. I'll tell him so." And off he went to see the teacher. "I did not cancel my permission," said Sengai. "I just wish to give him one last smack over the head. For when he returns, he'll be enlightened, and I will not be able to reprimand him again." Matajuro Yagyo was the son of a famous swordsman. His father, believing that his son's work was too mediocre to anticipate mastership, disowned him. So Matajuro went to Mount Futara, and there found the famous swordsman Banzo. But Banzo confirmed the father's judgment. "You wish to learn swordsmanship under my guidance?" asked Banzo. "You cannot fulfill the requirements." "But if I work hard, how many years will it take me to become a master?" persisted the youth. "The rest of your life," replied Banzo. "I cannot wait that long," explained Matajuro. "I am willing to pass through any hardship if only you will teach me. If I become your devoted servant, how long might it be?" "Oh, maybe 10 years, Banzo relented. "My father's getting old, and soon I must take care of him," continued Matajuro. "If I work far more intensely, how long would it take me?" "Oh, maybe 30 years, said Banzo. "Well, why is that?" asked Matajuro. "First you say 10, and now 30 years. I will undergo any hardship to master this art in the shortest time." "Well," said Banzo, "in that case, you'll have to remain with me for 70 years. A man in such a hurry as you are to get results seldom learns quickly." "Very well," declared the youth, understanding at last that he was being rebuked for impatience. "I agree." Matajuro was told never to speak of fencing and never to touch a sword. He cooked for his master, washed the dishes, made his bed, cleaned the yard, cared for the garden, all without a word of swordsmanship. 3 years passed. Still Matajuro labored on. Thinking of his future, he was sad. He had not even begun to learn the art to which he had devoted his life. But one day Banzo crept up behind him and gave him a terrific blow with a wooden sword. The following day, when Matajuro was cooking rice, Banzo again sprang upon him unexpectedly. After that, day and night, Matajuro had to defend himself from unexpected thrusts. Not a moment passed in any day that he did not have to think of the taste of Banzo's sword. He learned so rapidly, he brought smiles to the face of his master. Matajuro became the greatest swordsman in the land. Encho was a famous storyteller. His tales of love stirred the hearts of his listeners. When he narrated a story of war, it was as if the listeners themselves were on the field of battle. One day Encho met Yamaoka Teshu, a layman who had almost embraced masterhood in Zen. "I understand," said Yamaoka, "you are the best storyteller in our land, and that you make people cry or laugh at will. Tell me my favorite story of the Peach Boy. When I was a little tot, I used to sleep beside my mother, and she often related this legend. In the middle of the story, I would fall asleep. Tell it to me just as my mother did." Encho dared not attempt to do this. He requested time to study. Several months later, he went to Yamaoka and said, "Please give me the opportunity to tell you the story." "Some other day," answered Yamaoka. Encho was keenly disappointed. He studied further and tried again. Yamaoka rejected him many times. When Encho would start to talk, Yamaoka would stop him, saying, "You're not yet like my mother." It took Encho 5 years to be able to tell Yamaoka the legend as his mother had told it to him. In this way, Yamaoka imparted Zen to Encho. Many pupils were studying meditation under the Zen master Sengai. One of them used to arise at night, climb over the temple wall, and go to town on a pleasure jaunt. Sengai, inspecting the dormitory quarters, found this pupil missing one night and also discovered the high stool he had used to scale the wall. Sengai removed the stool and stood there in its place. When the wanderer returned, not knowing that Sengai was the stool, he put his feet on the master's head and jumped down into the grounds. Discovering what he had done, he was aghast. Sengai said, "It is very chilly in the early morning. Do be careful not to catch cold yourself." The pupil never went out at night again. Basui wrote the following letter to one of his disciples who was about to die. "The essence of your mind is not born, so it will never die. It is is not an existence which is perishable. It is not an emptiness which is a mere void. It has neither color nor form. It enjoys no pleasures and suffers no pain. I know you are very ill. Like a good Zen student, you are facing that sickness squarely. You may not know exactly who is suffering, but question yourself. What is the essence of this mind? Think only of this. You will need no more. Covet nothing. Your end, which is endless, is as a snowflake dissolving in the pure air. A Zen master named Isan asked the young student to bring him a pail of water to cool his bath. The student brought the water, and after cooling the bath, threw onto the ground the little that was left over. "You dunce," the master scolded him. "Why didn't you give the rest of the water to the plants? What right have you to waste even a drop of water in this temple?" The young student attained Zen in that instant. He changed his name to Tekisui, which means a drop of water. Tosui was the Zen master who left the formalism of temples to live under a bridge with beggars. When he was getting very old, a friend helped him to earn his living without begging. He showed Tosui how to collect rice and manufacture vinegar from it, and Tosui did this until he passed away. While Tosui was making vinegar, one of the beggars gave him a picture of the Buddha. Tosui hung it on the wall of his hut and put a sign beside it. The sign read, "Mr. Amida Buddha, this little room is quite narrow. I can let you remain as a transient, but don't think I'm asking you to help me to be reborn in your paradise." Shoichi was a one-eyed teacher of Zen, sparkling with enlightenment. He taught his disciples in Tofuku Temple. Day and night, the whole temple stood in silence. There was no sound at all. Even the reciting of sutras was abolished by the teacher. His pupils had nothing to do but meditate. When the master passed away, an old neighbor heard the ringing of bells and the recitation of sutras. Then she knew Shoichi had gone. Buddha said, "I consider the positions of kings and rulers as that of dust motes. I observe treasures of gold and gems as so many bricks and pebbles. I look upon the finest silken robes as tattered rags. I see myriad worlds of the universe as small seeds of fruit, and the greatest lake in India as a drop of oil on my foot. I perceive the teachings of the world to be the illusion of magicians. I discern the highest conception of emancipation as a golden brocade in a dream, and view the holy path of the illuminated ones as flowers appearing in one's eyes. I see meditation as a pillar of a mountain, nirvana as a nightmare of daytime. I look upon the judgment of right and wrong as the serpentine dance of a dragon.